It has been seen in a few cases how the Magical Girl series come from the success of experimenting in turning existing characters or series into this genre. And Getsumento Heiki Mina comes from a similar way, in this case when creating a series based on the opening animation of the Densha Otoko TV series, which, in fact, at the same time that one is based on all the animations of Gainax for the sci-fi conventions Daikon. This is the story of Mina Tsukuda, a high school student that's debuting as a TV announcer and interviewer, working hard to take this chance to fulfill her dream. But things complicate when she starts to get involved on incidents where alien bunnies break into sport matches or events related with sports because they're fanatic for them, and to stop them there's a space heroines team called Rabbit Force, which is known and famous on the Earth because it's their duty to protect and watch over sports events because its broadcasts are very popular on other planets. And Mina discovers that she's part of that team when she's told by their leader, so to transform herself into a heroine, she just has to get carrots in any way, which is the vegetable she dislikes. When transforming, besides changing her outfit, her body becomes voluptuous and gets skills and weapons to fight against the alien bunnies, that in her case, they're carrot-shaped. That's how the series continues, eventually accepting Mina her identity of heroine, under which she'll rescue many situations in which the bunnies will get in the way of her work in TV, besides dealing with the challenges of her work that complicate with her co-worker Scartin Mutsumune, who tries to sabotage her. This is a light series with good action and comedy, good for every audiences, but recommended for men since it includes some fan service. Something interesting is to watch the origins of the powers of the magical girls. Most of the times, we take for granted the existence of magic simply because the girl or the character that gives her powers comes from another world. Other times, because it's an ancient and lost power, and like in the case of Kamichama Karin, it's an inherited power or it comes from the main character's past. With this origin of Karin's power is what keeps running the series because she discovers that she's a goddess who awaken her powers thanks to the ring that she's got from her deceased mother, and when she meets her allies and enemies as a goddess. Karin is an elementary school student that, being orphan, she lives with her aunt, despite her being a nuisance to her, and this creates a melancholic and lonely context in which Karin lives, who will be host at the house of her allies and eventual friends, Himeka and Kazune, having this last one a ring like hers that also gives him powers of a god. From then on, Karin spending her days with Himeka and Kazuto, they learn together to use their powers, and they discover a lot of things about the origins of the rings and their essence as gods, meeting on the way many other persons that will react each one different to their identity as gods. Besides, along the story we'll know circumstances about Karin and Kazuto's past and future that will make more sense to their lives and their relationships with the people around them, and the consequences of their identities as gods. This series, instead of having a clear purpose on the use of their powers and well define who are the allies and villains, which give us some anticipation of what's coming next, it keeps certain mystery both about the motivations of the characters and the goal of the story, looking sometimes like a slice of life series. Karin, Kazuto, and other characters with godly powers, to be able to use them, they transform, getting a flashy outfit that represents their corresponding god, which come from the Greek pantheon, using their powers to attack and defend themselves, using magic staffs. This series in general shows light themes with some comedy and romantic drama, so it's mostly recommended for little and teen girls. As the visual novels and dating simulation games have gained more popularity and notoriety, more and more anime series come out from these sources, mainly because they become popular when they successfully include cliches and stereotypes preferred by fans. Nanatsuhiro Drops is one of these series based in this kind of games, which tend to show very predictable stories, but hopefully this one achieves to tell an entertaining story, where we see at the same time the adventures of a magical girl and a shonen-style romance. This is a story mainly centered around Masaharu Tsuwabuki, a high school student that drank a potion by accident instead of his canned drink when bumping with a weird person and mixing the cans. This potion turns him into a stuffed lamb doll on the nights, so he's guided by his teacher Natsume Kisaragi, who knows his problem and knows about the magic that transformed him, which is related with the moon and the stars. And the teacher Kisaragi is who enrolls him previously to the gardening club he leads, when he has an accident with one of their members, Sumomo Akihime, who is a cute and shy girl. Sumomo will have an important role because she'll have a close relationship with Tsuwabuki when she's the one to help him to cure himself of his condition, becoming the magical girl Prima Pramu, with him as her animal companion and guide, consulting a magical book that will give them an answer when they need it. The mission of this magical girl will be to collect the star fragments that drop on the earth with her magical staff, which has a spoon on the tip, putting them on a bottle where they turn into a liquid. But it won't be so easy for Prima Pramu, because she'll have a rival who also collects star fragments and has good magical skills. But thanks to the book, she'll get new spells at her disposal, which they call recipes. This short series has stars and cooking themes, with a very colorful visual style where all the girls are very cute and has a romantic story centered around the boy, both characteristics of the visual novels, so this series could be more attractive to a male audience. A good amount of magical girl series, in order to achieve popularity based mostly on visuals and maybe superficial things, they have included fanservice, sometimes discreetly and other times in an open and deliberate way. And with Moetan, since the own opening sequence is pretty obvious, its erotic perspective of the magical girl with a child look and a revealing outfit. But the weirdest thing is the origin of the series, which is based in series of textbooks and varied digital material that, telling a story with fanservice, it pretends to teach many aspects of the English language with each episode or lesson. And is something that was kept in this series, introducing small lessons inside the story and in shorts at the end of each episode. The story is about the girl, Ink Nijihara, a high school student that looks like a child that receives magical powers when meeting by accident the powerful and perverted wizard Arx that was turned into a dog and expelled to a war as a punishment. So when Ink gets her magic, she can transform in her identity as the magical girl Pastel Ink, with a revealing outfit that looks like a mix of a school swimming suit and a sailor school uniform, having the mission to help the people in need with her powers. But Ink also takes advantage of that identity to help the boy she likes, now Tezuka, when she becomes her English instructor, because that's the subject in which he's failing. Besides, Ink and Arx will have to deal with another wizards and magical girls, who will be their rivals and enemies for many circumstances, causing them many troubles, some when competing with them and some others to make them suffer, including also a great cast of curious and funny characters. This series clearly isn't for all audiences, being targeted for a teenage male audience because its great amount of pretty notorious fanservice with little girls, even if they're presented as teenagers. With most of the magical girls, their powers come externally for some incident, some magical character or item, or from themselves when they come from worlds where the magic is common on the people. So Shugo Chara differs from them since the powers come from the characters' hearts. This series is protagonized by Amu Hinamori, an elementary school student that everyone admires because they see her as a strong and secure girl. Despite that, this is just a front of her real shy and more conventional personality, which is the one that she wishes she could show, but is afraid that she could be rejected by that. Then one night, Amu strongly wishes that she could show her real personality, or the one that she could be. As a result, the next day, she finds 3 different colored eggs. From these eggs, it comes out 3 Shugo Chara, or guardian characters, which are some kind of fairies that represent the different personalities she could be, that came from the wishes of her heart. These guardians, when they make the character change with her, they allow her to act in ways that normally she couldn't. Besides that, they can give her magical transformations that give her magical powers. So eventually Amu is contacted and invited to join to a special group of students called Guardians, with the duty of helping all the students, and when they also have guardian characters, but just one each one. They'll teach her many things about this Shugo Chara, like the way they come out from the eggs that every kid has, because they're the manifestation of the wishes from their hearts. But few can make come out Shugo Chara. Besides that, commonly the ones that have these guardians only have 1 or 2, making Amu special since she has 3. Besides this, Amu is one of the few persons with guardians that can transform with the character change, since she can choose the magic lock called Humpty Lock, which will be useful because there's a possibility that the eggs could turn into eggs that come out when the negative emotions accumulate, causing something bad not only for its owner but to everyone else too. So Amu can use her magic to defend herself and purify those eggs. This will cause a conflict with some groups of persons that, like the group of guardians, they are looking for the rare egg called embryo, that it said that it will grant any wish. This is because the other group, to get it, they resort to methods that require to turn all the eggs they find into eggs, so Amu will try to stop them. This series consists of 3 seasons. It presents a light romantic comedy, a nice and well done visual presentation, and nice music that fits well, so it's good for every audiences, but more recommended for girls. Moegaku 5 was inspired on the concept of Moetan, that uses magical girls as an attractive and entertaining feature to teach languages, mainly to the otaku, and in a similar way, this one also comes from another source, in this case from video games to learn English, that use the same characters to tell this story. In the case of this TV series, it's a mix of an animated segment and live-action segments that alternate, telling a story on the animated part that serves as a pretext for the language lessons and giving a short and fun language lesson hosted by the famous seiyuu or voice actress and idol Aya Hirano. The story is very simple, where we see the adventures of Moe Tsukishima, which when she was contacted by the creature Lulu, she receives the skill to transform into a magical girl from the goddess, having the mission of helping all the otaku in Akihabara, one result that they are foreigners, learning with them many languages. And to complement, Moe will have a rival magical girl, Kaori Kyoka, with her respective companion, Mosh, that was expelled from the magical kingdom. The great difference with this series is that besides teaching English, they add another 4 languages, Chinese, Korean, French, and Spanish, that are represented on the anime by stereotypical characters, besides having guests that are experts in each language on the live-action part. This series doesn't use fan service to be entertaining and to get our attention. Instead, uses a light comedy, so besides to be aimed for otaku, as they say, it's also recommended for kids.